Welcome back to New Day. It's time for our legal desk, and this morning we are talking about social media privacy. Now, this is a huge area of concern, as in recent times there have been some reports of lack of privacy on social media sites. So this morning I have with me Mr. Kwame Champong, who will be helping us with this topic. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
How are you?
Great.
Okay, so we're talking about social media privacy in Ghana. Do you think there's privacy on the internet?
Well, I'll say yes and no. Yes and no, because I believe that is an area which allows you to manipulate a whole lot of things. For instance, if you don't want information concerning you to go out, there's an area you can block everybody from seeing. Whereas for majority of whatever goes on there, it's a World Wide Web, so everybody who has access to internet can easily access
your information.
That is it.
Are there any laws in Ghana that govern social media privacy?
There are several laws, almost all the laws of Ghana that we can think of, from the constitution to various legislations that have passed in parliament to our common and even customary law governs media practice in Ghana. And more so when you scale it down to maybe laws on defamation and stuff like that, which has to do with thought, protecting oneself, one's reputation, and one's chattels. These are all laws that come into govern media practice, this dissemination of information generally. But then, for the purposes of this discussion, I'll just zero in to just three of them. What I believe we should understand is that if you come to the criminal code, what we call presently the Criminal Offences Act, sections therein stipulates that you are not allowed to either produce, possess, or publish nude or obscene pictures. It's very critical, and I want everybody to understand this. It is your own body. I believe the law allows you to do almost everything with your body, but it restricts you as to how you put it out there. That is it. So that at any point in time, if there's a nude picture of you out there, maybe on the internet, and it was actually produced with your consent, then you might be an accomplice in a crime. If it was done without your consent, that is another matter altogether.
Oh, so you can't even post nude pictures of yourself? You can't post it yourself?
The law does not allow you to take nude pictures.
Okay, so unless it's you or a third party is still against the law.
That's it. Unless it's for medical or surgical reasons or for some special reason that was taken, which is of course reasonable out there. So that if you allow yourself to be taking a nude picture, the person taking the picture is committing a crime. You yourself allowing yourself to be either photographed or videoed in that state is will also be committing a crime. That's what we should understand. So the law says that.
What about the medium on which you post that?
Precisely, we are coming to that.
Okay.
So the law says that you are not allowed to produce, possess, or publicize nude pictures. Obscene pictures is what the law uses. That is in the criminal code. Now, what we mean by obscene pictures will be materials that unnecessarily incite passion in other people or generally corrupts morals.
So does that mean you don't necessarily have to be nude, but if an image of you...
Precisely, in a certain compromising way that will incite passion. The law doesn't allow that, generally, that is it. And these days, you are not sure whether you are looking at a nude picture or not, because the apparels these days are such that exposure of all kinds and manner of...
certain underwears or swimsuits or anything can be presumed...
Could be presumed to be. That is it. But you realize that it depends on the environment under which we take such pictures. For instance, we know as a fact that people go to the beach and take off their clothes and do swim and stuff like that. Under those circumstances...
I'm sure a lot of people are heaving a huge sigh of relief to have you clarify that.
That is it. Under those circumstances, these are exemptions. And I'm talking about also...
Because you're on the beach and it is allowed.
Precisely. By being on the beach, it's allowed to an extent. You cannot just go completely naked from head to toe. Or you are in a public place and you are supposed to compose yourself in a certain manner. So the law criminalizes this. Not just exposing yourself. If you possess such material, either on your phone or in your room or whatever, it's also a criminal offense. So these days you go on people's phones and there are all sort of videos and photographs and stuff like that. If we don't know what is happening, is that we are potential criminals. If anything happens and these are matters that comes to the knowledge of the police, you may be prosecuted for possessing it.
Let me just ask you, so between couples, if a girl takes a picture of herself and sends to her boyfriend, if such a picture is found on his phone, he is liable?
Now you realize that the laws on privacy gives you a very long and large and open area to operate, you understand? Now, this may be just between the two of you. Immediately, but the law says that, listen, you are not allowed to
even possess it in the first place.
Possess
or
take it or even possess it. Well, you haven't been prosecuted because it hasn't come to the public domain or whatever, or nobody has reported. And you should realize is that for some of these crimes, these are some of the crimes we call victimless crimes. You took a nude picture of yourself. You cannot be the victim, but it's an offense against the state, and that is why the state will come in under those circumstances.
So if it's between the two of you and hasn't yet come to the public domain, then it's okay.
No, I'm not saying it's okay. It's between the two of you. So you
haven't been found out yet.
Precisely. So then
even though it's wrong.
It's wrong. Okay. What we are saying is that it's wrong. And in that case, I don't really understand why.
So would you say that you wouldn't encourage people to take such pictures because it's against the law anyway?
It is against the law. It's just like
so it's illegal.
It's illegal to do that. That is, it's illegal to do that. And so what happens is that if you publish it, that is, if you reveal it to third parties, that will amount to publication. That is when we come to this posting of these news pictures on the internet. Right. Then you are also committing a crime. Whether you actually took part in the production or possession or whatever, immediately you circulate it one way or the other, you are also committing a crime. So that is with the criminal code. Now, there are other laws which may allow damages to be awarded for revelation of some private facts in public. Now, what this means is that there might be some private arrangement between us. And out of this private arrangement, we're supposed to keep some of this information to ourselves. It includes these new pictures that you're talking about. But then for some reasons, it may be malicious or whatever, the facts are putting out there and circulated. Here, first, we were talking about criminal matters. Here, in civil matters, we may be awarded damages for that person putting that information out there. And what is your aim, your purpose of putting that information out there?
So let's say, for example, it's a public figure. That would make it newsworthy.
Right. If it's a public figure, that may make it newsworthy. You understand? Because it all depends even on the circumstances under which these private facts are made public. That is it. And then the third area I will look at is within our domestic violence law. There's a law that we all know about called the domestic violence law. Under that law, about 5 certain categories have been criminalized. What is crucial to our discussion now is one of the crimes which we call psychological and emotional abuse. What this means is that any conduct from one party in a domestic relationship, I'll come to explain domestic relationship, which tends to create constant fear, unhappiness, or makes one party feel humiliated or denigrated one way or the other, worthless. That is it. So, for instance, if you post nude pictures of somebody on the internet and it is established that there's a domestic relationship existing between the two of you, that will be an infraction of the domestic violence law. What we mean by domestic relationship is any relationship that exists or which has existed between two parties. Normally it's a man and a woman. There are a whole lot of areas that we can cover under this definition. Whether you are married, the marriage it's gone of divorce, but even if you are not in that relationship, it's considered, even if you are not in the marriage situation, insofar as there's been some relationship between you, that domestic relationship has been established. When you are courting in any intimate relationship, it's considered as a domestic relationship. Anything that you can think of that brings a man and woman together is one of the areas that have been considered as a domestic relationship. Now, under any of these circumstances, if you do anything, whatever it is, that will make one party feel psychologically, emotionally humiliated, worthless, denigrated, one way or the other, then you would have fallen foul of the law. And for the domestic violence law, it ups the stakes when it comes to punishment with regard to what has happened. And normally you can go in, you can be in prison for as long as 2 years.
Okay, I don't know if you follow the recent case of a young man who published them. I think he posted on Facebook nude pictures of his ex-girlfriend. They were in a relationship and they broke up, and I think he was blackmailing her or threatening her. If she doesn't come back, he post the pictures. And he went ahead to post the pictures. I think he was arrested and prosecuted, and I'm not sure he was convicted or either paid. Okay, my director is just telling me he was convicted.
Yes, so I followed that case, and eventually the young man was convicted and sentenced to 6 months imprisonment.
So he was quite lucky.
Yeah, well, he was quite lucky. I don't know under what law they prosecuted this particular offense. If you go under the criminal law, it's a misdemeanor. If you go, but if you come
not
under
quite as serious as certain.
Yes, if you come under the domestic violence law, then it becomes a felony, and that can take you in for about 2 years. Now, just as I was saying, what is the social utility value of that picture of that lady that was posted on the internet?
Okay, so that would have been a factor to consider in sentencing.
That is so. So at the end of the day, this young man was lucky to even go with just 6 months in imprisonment. And I believe it has been prosecuted the other way around. If it's established that that picture was published purely on malice grounds, he would have had more than 6 months.
I think we are quite ignorant about the privacy laws on social media. Who is responsible for the monitoring of these things on social media? Who monitors whether what we are doing is proper or improper?
I know for some of these entities who are the service providers, for instance, if you take Yahoo, for instance, they have a system where they block some of this information even before they hit the internet for the whole world to see. So the service providers themselves are doing a lot. But then it's up to me and you to make sure that that social media thing is clean for all of us. Some of the pictures you see there, not just nude pictures, but they are very, very horrible pictures. Some are very disgusting, you understand? And they sort of depress you the whole day if you sight them in the morning. Your whole day is finished. These are all matters that we as individuals who patronize the social media should bring to the attention of the law authorities, policemen and stuff like the police and stuff like that, so that we sort of cleanse that area, because it's creating a whole lot of problems out there. It
is in recent times. And okay, in prosecuting or suing somebody under such circumstances, can you join the site or the service providers like we were just saying? You see, are they culpable for
precisely
anything?
Because you have provided a platform.
Exactly.
You have provided a platform, so you may be co-sued or jointly held as being a criminal, unless of course you can show. But in all this, if you are a service provider, as I said, you have to show that you took all the necessary steps, technological wise, to prevent some of these things from coming on. But the services being provided these days are such that I believe it's extremely difficult, if not impossible, to stop some of these things. For instance, if you are in a WhatsApp group, if you are in an Instagram group, these are matters I don't think that is vetted before it even comes out. That is it. If you are posting it generally somewhere, because I understand on some occasions, some of these matters appear on YouTube and within a short period of time, it's been removed, it's been taken off. But then a few people or some people would have cited it. And it might have created the consequences we are talking about. We are saying that don't create the situation in the first place.
Because it's already a criminal act. It's unlawful.
Which will unnecessarily incite passions or corrupt morals out there. And it's a public policy position for almost every country. You are not allowed to brandish some of these things that will corrupt morals out there.
Okay, I just had this thought. In suing somebody for posting or publishing your nude pictures online, can they also counter sue you for making those pictures available? Because we are just saying in the first place that it's already unlawful.
It's unlawful.
You made it available. You send them to me.
That is if
is
you
that
did.
Possible?
That is it. If you did, because and at the end of the day, in fact, if it can be established that you willingly, voluntarily allowed yourself to be taking these pictures for whatever purpose, that may, if it's a criminal offense, that may go to mitigate even the sentence that will be imposed. If it's a civil matter, that will go to mitigate the damages that will be awarded. Why on earth would you allow yourself to be photographed nude or filmed in some very compromising position? What for? What for? Of course, we know some people do this for profits. They are in a particularly completely different category, and for that matter, it may happen that some of these matters should go to court, and you are seeking civil reliefs like damages. To be a good defense to say that, yeah, well, you sold it out for what do you call it, for profits, and that is why I used it. But then, if it can be shown that it wasn't done voluntarily, I know for a fact that for a lot of them, there are hidden cameras and stuff like that which will come in to take some of these new moving pictures or still pictures. And when it happens that way, then you weren't a willful participant. And for that matter, that might not serve as a defense for the other side.
Party. Okay. If you find yourself a victim of such an act, what would you advise the person to do?
Immediately, if you find yourself a victim, all you do is to report to the police. Because then it's an infraction under a Criminal Offences Act. It is an infraction under the domestic violence law. That is especially if there's a domestic relationship existing between the two of you. And the police are obliged to investigate and bring the culprits to book. There's no discretion in this matter. Insofar as there's physical evidence of posting of some of these nude pictures out there, that is what should happen. There are a lot of people who get really embarrassed, and for that matter, recall into their shells. They don't even want to come out because of the embarrassing nature of the revelations out there. But
I think once your pictures are already out there, the harm has already been done.
Precisely,
so you should go ahead.
Precisely, you should go ahead and report, and so that we stop this social canker that is trending these days. Right.
So once you report to the police, it is up to the duty of the police to investigate and prosecute.
That is it. As was done in the case that you just referred to me. That's right.
Which court handles such cases?
Most of the courts will do, but these are courts of first instance. We are talking about maybe the magistrate court, the circuit court, or the high court. Any of them, you put these ones across, and they should be able to handle it for you. Okay,
so please, last advice to the public out there and how to, keep themselves. And maybe you should reiterate the fact that it's just a crime to actually take these pictures. There are lots of young people out there who are in relationships and they are sending pictures back and forth to their partners and all of that. So maybe a word of advice.
Yes, you said it all. But please, be very careful with yourself. You don't know where you might end up in life. So even in this youthful stage, just be extremely careful about pictures that are taken of you, no matter who is taking it. Whether your boyfriend or your girlfriend or whatever, you might never know the end usage of that picture. And at the end of the day, you may be an accomplice to the crime. Even if it happens that the police are going to prosecute, you may be taken in as an accomplice because you willfully participated in the production of that particular video or picture that was taken of you. So please, let's all be careful. And please don't feel shy. Anyway, in any case, immediately the pictures or movies of you are published. It's already in the public domain. There's nothing to be shy about. Get to the police and let them investigate and bring the culprits to book. And let's stop some of these things that are trending now. It's a bit worrying.
It is. Okay, now finally, before you go, does it make a difference if your face is not shown in the picture? If it's just bodily parts or, and your face is not there? Does that make any difference?
I believe it makes to an extent, because then it makes it a bit difficult for you to prove that this is you. That is it, because we resemble a lot with regard to body features. What really identifies one person from the other is the face.
Unless you want to stand in open court and
show that this is me.
Which I don't think.